You're watching Cat Roll Hunter. You don't want to miss this video. These tubes here are chock full of double dies and die varieties from coin roll hunting. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is James and you're watching my channel Cat Roll Hunter. A little while ago, one of my subscribers, Greg, sent me a trade. His half of a trade. I didn't even know what he'd sent me, and it's taken me a while to get through things. But today, this is the third and final installment. We're going to be looking at some quarters and some dimes. And he sent me a little bit of a cheat sheet. And in these tubes, first of all, are a bunch of brilliant uncirculated coins that he got from coin roll hunting. But included in here are a whole bunch of DDOs, DDRs, and some die varieties. He's got a really keen eye. These are things that he found in circulation in coin roll hunting. So we're going to check these out. Particularly, we're going to look at these DDOs, DDRs, and die varieties. There's some really, really cool stuff here. Some of these die varieties you're probably quite familiar with, and some are probably lesser known. I'm really excited to dig in, so let's see what we got. So this first one we've got here is a Colorado State quarter from 2003. You can see it is circulated. It's got a bit of discoloration, some marks on it. But Greg's got a pretty keen eye. We'll take a look under the scope because there's something happening with this coin. You might spot it right now. So here it is under the microscope here, and you can see this coin has a cud. A cud, of course, is a die chip on the rim of the coin. That term is often used incorrectly by folks who refer to just die chips as cuds on any part of the surface of the coin, but a cud technically is right off of the rim here. So part of this, the rim on the die has chipped off and it's been filled in here. So that is a really cool error. I'm not sure if I would have spotted that. But Greg, like I said, has a very keen eye and he's a prolific coin roll hunter. So he's looked through a lot of coins, and these that he sent me are extras. So he's found multiple of these. That's how sharp his eye is. Next up is an Idaho State quarter from 2007. This one here is out of Philadelphia. When I throw this one under the scope, we can see it's got a die chip right at the bottom of the state map here. It's going right into the date here. Very, very cool. That's one you can find out in circulation for sure. Now I've got two Wyoming State quarters from 2007. They're both from Philadelphia, but they each have something different going on. So this first one here has a die chip right on the horse's tail here. So similar to that Idaho one with the die chip at the bottom of the state. This one's on the horse's tail. This next one here is a DDO, and this DDO is visible at the horse's saddle. And I think that is this line that's right here. If we look at our other one, just for a comparison, we don't have that line there. So it's pretty minor, but if you've got a good eye, these are ones you can spot out there. It is a doubled Die Reverse. Very cool. Here's a 2018 from the National Park Series here, and this one, Cumberland Island, features a die chip at the wing of the bird here. Now, dies get worn over time. They can be subject to over polishing. They can get damaged, cracked, get chips in them. So they're only used to press so many coins. And of course, if they get damaged, once that damage is noticed, they might get swapped out for another one. But some coins will get through using the damaged dies, and this is the kind of thing that happens. Here's another one with a bird on it, 2018. I kind of love these quarters. Look at the detail here. This is pretty awesome. And at the top of the bird, though, there is a die chip right on the bird's back. Now, here's a 2020 Marsh Billings Rockefeller, and this one has a die chip on that person's elbow. You can see it here by the naked eye, but I'll throw that one under the scope as well to get a closer look. There it is. That is not supposed to be there, what looks like an odd growth on this woman's elbow. That is another die chip right there. This isn't one I'm all that familiar with at all. And I'm not sure that I can see the doubling on here. So I'm not sure how many different DDOs there might be here. This is one I'll probably have to loop back with Greg just to find out what it is that he saw on here. Here's another one. This is noted as a DDR here, double die reverse, and it's a 2020. It is the Weir Farm. And not one I'm terribly familiar with either. There's so much going on in this coin, I wouldn't even know where to look for that doubling. So if anyone is familiar with the markers on this as a DDR, let me know where I should be looking and I'd appreciate it. Thanks. So die chips have been getting a lot of attention from numismatists lately. And I think this particular coin here has a lot to do with that. This is one that is really obvious and got a lot of people talking. This is Washington crossing the Delaware, and there are many different versions of a die chip on the top of Washington's hat, and this is one of them. And they go from very small to really large, and this one is probably somewhere in the middle. We'll take a peek at this one, throw that under the scope, and we'll get a look here. There it is, and it looks like he's got a hamburger on top of his head. Well, I mean, if he's leading the troops into battle, you're going to get hungry, but that die chip there is not supposed to be there. That is a really cool one, and some have found it where the entire top of his head, his hat here, is covered with a die chip. So this die chip probably got progressively worse over time and just maybe didn't get noticed right away because it's on his hat. Really strange, really cool, and I'm glad I got one now. So if there was a second die chip that has become sort of an iconic and interesting die chip in American coinage, it would have to be the ones on the new obverse on these American women quarters. And this here, you can see really clearly it's known as the Fang or perhaps the Drooling George. And you can see this is a 2022 Philadelphia Maya Angelou American Women's Series quarter. And that is pretty spectacular on that coin. And I think it's common to most of these. It must be a weak spot in the die, in the design, that is causing this to happen. Now, I'd have to do some research to find out if it's on all of them with this design or if it's more prevalent on others, if it's something they've perhaps addressed. But this is a pretty great example. I'll throw this one under the scope too. We'll get a really close-up view of Drooling George. So there it is. There's a 2022 Philadelphia Maya Angelou. And just look at that die chip right at the corner of his mouth. Really unfortunate placement, but that's a really, really cool one. Greg, thank you for sending this along because I've seen the videos where people find this and I didn't have one, so I'm really happy to have this in my collection now. Now, that's not the only issue on these Maya Angelou quarters. This one here is the DDR, the double die reverse. And this one is the doubled earring. You can just sort of see the faint outline of that doubling right to the left, just to the southwest, I suppose, of that earring. I've got the other one that Greg sent me here, where you can clearly see there's no doubling. The earring is as it's supposed to be. So it's very minor and it's hard to see, but it is clearly there. And again, you've got to have a pretty sharp eye to find this when you're looking through coins, but Greg has found a number of these, and I'm really fortunate that he sent one of them to me. Here are three brilliant uncirculated examples of the Bessie Coleman quarter, one each from the Philadelphia and Denver Mint, just in BU condition, but this one on the right here, I've got under the scope, and this one has a die chip on the nose, which is an interesting variety that you can find in circulation right now on a brand new 2023 quarter. So there are the 13 errors and varieties and quarters that got sent to me, which is just spectacular. Here in Canada, I'd be hard-pressed to find even just one of these, probably in years of coin roll hunting. So this has been fantastic. And alongside all of those were some really beautiful examples of some other circulating quarters, many of which are the brand new American women quarters from the last 2 or 3 years that I don't have. Just spectacular examples of quarters that Greg has pulled from circulation, the best of the best, essentially uncirculated coins. Perhaps many of these might have come out of brand new bank wrapped or mint wrapped rolls. I'm not sure, but many thanks to Greg for that. So I thought we'd take a little break in the action here to look at some banknotes that found their way to me. Last year, my wife and I traveled on safari in Africa. We went specifically to Kenya, and most of the time we were there, we shared a safari vehicle with just one other couple, Kent and Diana. We had a lot of time to chat, and of course, over the course of our vacation, our trip there, we talked a little bit about money and currency, let him know I was a collector, talked a little bit about my YouTube channel. He was quite interested in that. And Kent and Diana, as it turns out, are prolific travelers. They travel all over the place. I don't even want to guess how many countries they've been to, probably most of them. They're from actually in Tennessee, and after the trip, Kent sent me some bills, some banknotes. There's a few here from Guatemala. They had been to Guatemala, he sent me. And just the other day, I got another package with some more bills. We'll just take a quick look at these. These are really, really cool. This first one is a vertical banknote. It's $2 from the Central Bank of Barbados. Very cool note. If I flip it over, it features a windmill. Windmills are pretty prominent in the islands. I guess this was just how they generated power or used the wind to move machinery, stuff like that. Really cool. This is a polymer note. You can see that see-through area at the bottom. Very cool. Here are a couple of Eastern Caribbean Central Bank bills featuring Queen Elizabeth II. These are $5. Another vertical banknote. Very, very cool. This next one, I had to look it up because I wasn't sure what this was. The writing is in Arabic, 20-something. When I flip it over, it says Bank al-Maghrib, 20 dirhams. This is from Morocco. So Kent and Diana are traveling all over the globe here. So here's another country they've been to with some money that he sent. These next three are all from Trinidad and Tobago. These are all pretty cool. They're very similar on the one side, featuring the coat of arms here. There's the Trinidad flag. I flip it over. We've got some modern architecture, industrial scenes, but he sent me a $10, a $5. These are very colorful notes here, all different colors. Very similar design, it appears, on all of them. And here is $1. Very neat. So there's some differences on it from Trinidad and Tobago. And then these Guatemalan Cinco Quetzales, not exactly sure what that is, but that is 5 something. Really, really neat. These are very colorful notes here. Check out that scene on the back. It looks like a teacher with some students, somebody writing on the blackboard. Very, very cool. So thank you so much, Kent and Diana, if you're watching. I'm not sure if you watch my channel at all, but this package was very much appreciated. I really enjoyed looking through these notes and adding these to my collection. Some places that I've never been to. Hopefully I'll make it there someday, but I don't know when I might have gotten these bills in my collection, if at all. So thank you so much for sending these off to me and giving me a chance to share these bills with my subscribers. Let's get back to the hunt. Now we're going to take a peek at the dimes and see what we've got in here. I know there are a few varieties in there. So I had given a list to Greg at one point in time with all of the dimes and, well, every denomination that I didn't have in my collection. So some of these are from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. They're not errors or varieties. They're just really excellent examples of coins that I didn't have in my collection, or perhaps I had some that were really, really bad. Here are a couple here that he sent me. These are the 2009 Philadelphia and 2009 Denver. Both of these are very low mint, and I have not come across these in circulation here in Canada. So we'll take a look in here. I'll pull out some of the more interesting ones, the varieties that he sent me. Just looking through these dimes, and look at this gorgeous beauty from 1974. Just spectacular. And I love the relief on these older dimes. Just, you can really see it almost looks really three-dimensional like that. That just really pops. But what I wanted to show you here was I've got a 2019 under the scope, and we're looking at the reverse because this is a doubled die reverse. And where we're looking on here, I had to look this up, is just to the right of this leaf right here by the torch. That is the tell right there on this particular double die. This is a 2019 Philadelphia doubled die reverse. Now here's a 2007 Philadelphia, and there is a very obvious die chip on Roosevelt's neck. Very cool. Now this one here is really interesting. If you look really hard, you can see this is a 2017. It looks like it might be a really circulated dime, but it's actually in great shape. Check out the reverse. There's lots of detail, and there's really no circulation wear, but many of the devices are very weak. This is a grease-filled die on both the obverse and the reverse. I'll throw this one under the scope because it's just so cool. So here's the obverse. I mean, it looks like this coin might be really circulated and really worn. just by how weak all the devices are. But when I flip this over, you can see, I mean, there is some circulation wear on this for sure. So it's not in a BU, so this might be mildly circulated, but that's not where all this wear has come from. This was just a grease-filled die. Really interesting. Now here's a 2020 from Philadelphia. When I show you Roosevelt's head, there's a pretty significant die crack right from the rim up here all the way to the middle of his head. Very cool. And this last one is a 2016. This one here is also a Philadelphia. And this is a double die reverse. Very similar to the 2019. It's the same spot on the leaf that we see here. That's the tell on this one. Interestingly, this one had been attributed to 2016. And I was looking through posts where I found a lot of people talking about the 2019, seeing this before it was actually attributed by Wexler. So very cool. We've got the 2016 and the 2019, both Philadelphia, both the double die reverse. Really, really awesome. And there are some big stacks. There are all the dimes that I got that will fill holes in my collection. Not errors or varieties, but brilliant uncirculated coins that are going to make my dime, US dime collection way better than it is today. So we got a whole bunch of errors and varieties here, quarters and dimes that we went through. Some really cool stuff I've only seen in YouTube videos or in online forums where people have found them. So I'm really happy to have these in my collection and really pleased that Greg found not just one, but more than one that he could trade with another collector. And that's really, really huge. As a coin collector, I've said this a number of times on my videos. Do you really need more than one of anything? And you're probably going to find more than one. And so if you can trade with other collectors to find and get things that you don't already have, that's a fantastic way to increase your collection without necessarily increasing your cost. Greg would have found most of these in circulation, so they cost some face value to get. I'm going to send him some Canadian coins from my collection, duplicates that I've found. Same thing on my end, and we'll both get interesting or potentially valuable coins, at least things that are going to fill holes in our collection. So look at all of these beautiful coins that I've got. I'm going to flip these up, get them on my books. Of course, I might have to get some better US albums. I did that for my pennies and my nickels, but it looks like my collection is growing. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked seeing something a little bit different, some errors and varieties that I got in a trade. Let me know in the comments if you have found any of these. I'd like to know how prevalent they are. I really don't have much of a sense because I'm not an American coin roll hunter, so I don't know how often you'll find these or how rare they are, but I'd like to hear your stories if you got these coins in your own coin roll hunts. And if you've traded with other collectors to, like I used to do with hockey cards and baseball cards, I'd get 2 of one, I'd trade it to someone else for something that I didn't have. Are you doing that with other collectors? Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I always appreciate you watching my videos. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, CAD Roll Hunter, just click that button and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And give the video a like. That's always helpful. I appreciate every one of you for watching. Thank you so much for doing so. We'll see you again next time. The sponsors of today's video are Lighthouse Canada and the Charlton Press. Lighthouse Canada is the leading supplier of high-quality numismatic supplies in Canada, and the Charlton Press is the leading publisher of coin and paper money catalogs and price guides for Canadian collectors. Go check out their online stores today and use the exclusive discount code CRH20 for 20% off all your purchases.